In the circumstances, the broad philosophy that Dr. Manmohan Singh outlined was that large-scale fiscal adjustment was needed, but the poor should being protected from the burden of adjustment. Okay. Is there an error in this sentence? In the circumstances, the broad philosophy that so this is part A. So given the circumstances, the broad philosophy that Dr. Manmohan Singh outlined was that, what did he outline? Large-scale fiscal adjustment was needed. Okay, large-scale fiscal adjustment, they're talking about one entity, singular subject, was singular, verb seems fine, was needed, but the poor should being protected from the burden of... So as soon as I read this sentence again, I know where... Are you able to identify which part has the error in this question? Anybody? So what's your clue word again? Quickly, Sajit and Vaishali, what's the clue word? How do you know that that is where the error is? Anybody? What's the clue word? Should. That's your clue word, the modal. So what's the right form when you have a modal? The be form, and it's the verb 1, right? Not verb 1, as in be form, right? So he must be late. Right? It doesn't say he must being late. So when you have a modal, you know the form. So that's your clue. So error is in part D. Strike out the ing. You don't need the ing form. Right? She will be amused. Right? So the poor should be protected from the burden of adjustment. That's it. Look at her question. She said, part A, that, part B. She will help me, part C, whenever I was in difficulty. Okay, please help me in finding error in this sentence. Answer is C. Okay, I thought error is in D because D was in past tense and C is in future tense. 2 cases possible. Okay, so Deepika presents 2 cases in front of us. First case, she said that she will help me whenever I am in difficulty. Okay, she said that she helped me whenever I was in difficulty. Correct me if I am wrong. Okay. So let's look at your first possibility. She said that she will help me whenever I am in difficulty. So I'll slightly kind of modify that sentence itself, right? Yes, there is a possibility where I will say she said that she will help me when I am faced with a difficulty or when I am faced with a difficult difficult situation or a difficult situation. So this is a possibility. Right? So basically saying if at all there is a situation in the future that happens where, it's tough for me and I can't handle it on my own, this person has said that they will help me, which is fine. Okay. But the other possibility is also where you change will to would, right? She would help me. Option C. That is correct. Rajesh and the rest of you are saying would help. Vinay. That is also correct. She said that she would help me, right? You change will to would whenever I was in difficulty. So would as in, again, thinking about the future. So remember as a rule, right? You use would plus the, whatever the base verb is, which is verb 1. And in our case it is help in the given context, right? So basically you're talking about a future result here. Now this second attempt that you've put, so C being correct where the error is absolutely fine, right? I'm giving you guys other options as well, where you'll have to change the entire construction though, right? So for example, in the second context, she said that she helped me whenever I was in difficulty. I'll slightly modify this again. So I would say, she said that she helped me whenever I had been in difficulty, right? So the being in difficulty kind of coming in as a first action and then the second action, where one of the other rules that we keep saying when we have two sentences in the past, two actions in the past, we kind of keep one at simple past tense, which is she helped me, and here perfect tense, had been. Yeah, so these are the various forms in which you can restructure this context just because you had presented two cases, Deepika. But the first one, the error is in C. He said that the old man died of a heart disease who survived by the children. Okay, so obviously if you are familiar with the expression or the context, usually when there is a clue word, let's see who identifies a clue word, then you will get the concept correct. Who wants to tell me there is a clue word in the context which will help us identify where the error is? What is that clue word? And this is almost like a collocation if you ask me, because in a situation like this, usually that is the collocation. So let's see who's giving. I have option 2 and option 4, right? So in a situation, usually when you say someone was survived by so and so, right, it means that someone is dead. And here we know we are talking about the old man who died of the heart disease. Yes, correct. So which means, what do I need? So what is understand the context first. So the context is basically saying this person died and who is remaining, who is left of his relatives are his children. That's what the context is saying, right? So, and this is obviously in the passive construction, the second half of the sentence. So if I say he, the old man here, he is survived by his, let's say he has two sons, his children, by his 2 sons. So what I'm saying is he died and the only people left of his family members are his 2 sons. Right? Now the reason why we are very specifically saying is survived, right? We're using the present tense because we are assuming that the children are still alive, right? So depending on the context again, you'll have to be very careful in where you choose. Now for me, this is actually a trick question. I'll tell you why. Because I can put is in part 3 or I can put is in part 4, right? So what I'm trying to say is the breakup of the sentence is not correct. Ideally, if the breakup was here, right, after survived, I will say error in part 3. It's easier for me to identify which part has the error. Because it's in the middle here, it can be in part 3, it can be in part 4 also. Right? Again, that's why I said it's a trick question. But for you to understand the collocation and the context, this is the context. Right? And sometimes you will also see was survived. Now this only happens in the context when we are talking about, like, in some 20 years back or 15 years back, where probably the people who have survived, this person who died also is no longer alive. Then you use was. Yes, correct. Yeah. Let me give you an example. So if I say when JFK, John F. Kennedy, right, was shot and killed. When was he shot and killed? GK question. Who knows? JFK, when was he shot and killed? 19? Quickly, I will give you only 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nobody answered. 1963. Right? When JFK was shot and killed in 1963, he was survived by his wife. Right? So in this context, I have used was. Why? Because we are talking about 1963. Obviously, his wife also is probably dead by now. Right? For sure. So having said that, that's the only difference for you to figure out between is and was. So, just for you to get an idea. Okay? Or maybe I'm getting your responses late. Anyway, let's move on. So in this context, again, it could be 3, it could be 4.